What was the worst advice you have ever received? Don't study computer programming. The market is probably going to be saturated by the time you graduate. From a computer science professor in the mid-80s. Oof. 30 years of programming experience right now will get you a very, very pretty penny. My husband needed a medical card after his heart failure from viral cardiomyopathy. The social worker told me I should get pregnant so we would qualify for help with his medical costs. I was 24 and lived in Ohio. I was horrified. She listed all the help we could get if I could get pregnant. He was in an ICU ward recovering from heart surgery. I walked out of there just disgusted. From a light Google search, wouldn't asking her husband with cardiomyopathy to impregnate you send him to the hospital faster? Potentially killing him if the condition is bad enough? Or is the worker telling you to cheat on her husband? Lol XD. Either way I would feel disgusted too. At 24, while making $12 an hour and renting an apartment, my parents convinced me to buy a brand new Honda Accord. They assured me it was the only way to get a new car and that used ones broke down immediately. The payments were one entire paycheck of the two I got every month. In my early 20s, my stepdad encouraged us equals me, sister and brother, to max out our credit cards. Then file bankruptcy. My sister did it. My brother did it. I didn't. He insulted me for years, for being stupid. A few years ago, my mom asked me if I could help with her $100,000 debt. She told me she needed $60,000. I literally had less than $1,000 in my bank account. When I asked her where she thought I was going to be able to get that money, she told me to use my credit line. Mind you, I was going to school full-time and working a barista job at the time. My highest credit limit at the time was like $500 to $1,500. She told me to sign up for multiple cards to get to $60,000. When I refused, she was telling everyone that I wouldn't help her with money. Oh, did I mention that she actually applied to credit cards using my name? The physical cards were sent to our house and I found them. When I brought it up, her defense was that she hadn't used them because I wouldn't help her. Second, when I asked her how she was going to pay it back, she told me that she's cycling through credit cards. Invest in brother-in-law's bar. Thanks Dad. Bye 30K and bye bar. Did not know I'd be working alongside an illiterate buffoon. Investing in any bar or restaurant is generally terrible advice lol. From my father, don't go to the doctor's office if you only have one problem. Wait until you have 4 or 5, that's how you get the most bang for your buck. This is horrible advice, but as someone who went a very long time without medical insurance I kind of get it. Family over friends, because friends won't always be there for you, family will. Fat load of crap that was. Family can be some of the most toxic people you've met in your life. I mean, mine literally are. I think, of all the people currently in my orbit, my family are the least well-adjusted, problematic narcissists to ever have crossed my path. It's just shame it took me 5 years after getting out of their house to even understand that. Sure, I understood parts of it, but it took me a long time to realize it was an elephant. Invest in DVDs because you can pawn them for cash when you need money. You commonly hear stuff like this from people who grew up in times of hyperinflation where saving cash doesn't work when trying to accumulate wealth. Just find a girl you don't like. Once you get married you'll just hate her anyways. God, I hope he was joking. Everyone I know who's been married more than 10 years has moments when you can't stand your spouse. Especially if you have kids. Because let's face it, it's hard to live with other people for a long period of time. And kids will raise the stakes on everything and drag out every bit of how you were raised that your spouse wasn't. But you're in it for all times when it's not like that. Which should be most of the time. Was told by a sailor of 5 decades that the best way to get rid of a sunburn is to take the hottest shower possible. Not only did that cause immeasurable pain, but didn't help in the slightest. It's a cool, not cold shower. He had to have been trolling you. If you go work somewhere else no one will pay you as much as me. My dad. I'm currently making twice as much plus benefits. Edit, wording I make twice as much plus benefits originally had not including benefits. Not me, but I remember reading a thread about a man who told his girlfriend every day that she stinks. She washed 2 or 3 times daily, tried everything she could to get rid of this smell. Not even sure you realistically can accomplish that. Usually bankruptcies are for people severely in debt. As a temporary measure, it's okay to insert a copper penny into a screw and fuse box circuit until replacement fuses can be obtained. That dangerous advice almost caused a house fire due to an overheating circuit. You should use a 22 bullet, that way you can hear when it pops. Ah yes, the audiovisual alert fuse. It's too late for you to learn to code. I was 14. Ain't no dumbass 8 years old's gonna understand coding. Who gave that advice? If you actually cared about being organized, you wouldn't have ADHD. As someone who has ADHD, that makes me furious. Who the hell thinks that way? Although in all fairness, I realized I needed glasses at age 8 when I couldn't see the board, and my teacher accused me of lying, so probably a bunch of people. If you run out of dishwasher detergent, just substitute it with regular dish soap. A big mistake that will only be made once. It's almost good advice if you also need to mop your floor, but would rather shovel bubbles instead of actually mopping. All you have to do is prove to the woman that you are better than the man she is with, and she will come running. From a former manager who had 7 girlfriends, and a wife who stabbed him when she learned about the girlfriends. All that I can think is 8 relationships? That sounds so exhausting. To keep my mouth shut. Never argue or talk back to my partner. Just tell them that millennials divorce less than boomers. Turn the other cheek, you'll have the moral high ground. My father when I told him about how I was being badly bullied. Thanks Dad, for making my school days an even bigger ordeal than they already were. Put some butter on it, my father to me directly after getting a 3rd-degree burn on my arm, cooking accident. You put some butter on it, a little garlic and then mozzarella and you got a decent side. Don't take IT engineering cause it's saturated. Don't study computer science, all the programming will be done in India in 5 years. Literally everyone in my family in 2006. They pushed me hard for accounting, but I found a compromise in an IT degree, information systems. I found my way back to software development quickly though. It's not as bad now, but in 2010 you'd get your resume thrown in the trash at a lot of places if you applied to a programming job without a CS or engineering degree. Ignore the bullies. They just want a reaction. If you ignore them, they'll get bored and leave you alone. This is my answer every time this question pops up. It is such unmitigated bullshit. The adults who gave me this advice, when I was a kid, in the 70s, must have had softer bullies than I did. Because yeah, my bullies wanted a reaction. And they'd keep going until they got one. Note, they considered tears of pain and blood a reaction, as they beat the crap out of me. Follow your heart. Sometimes my heart is stupid, and I should listen to my brain instead. My heart is telling me to eat 7 cakes, play video games instead of go to school, and sleep 16 hours a day. Follow your brain. Just get a degree. It doesn't matter which one. $40,000 and one unused degree later. Business 101 professor with multiple PhDs gave great advice: don't follow your passion. Get a degree that will get you the money to follow your passion. I love anthropology, and thanks to my degrees in physics and business I get to go all around the world on dig sites and explore. My grandmother told me that if I wanted to stop being poor, I should find a job in logistics or warehousing. I was literally managing a warehouse at the time. I got advice to move to a lower cost of living area, work from home, and maybe you'll be able to save up for a home. I'm a manager of 7 medical locations working from home. Moved from my hometown to NM. Worst advice received and acted upon. My friend out of high school got a job at Ford starting at $28/hour full-time and in the UAW. His mom said he shouldn't waste his life working at a factory and go to college despite him having a 1.8 GPA in high school and very good with working with his hands. He quit, took 2 classes at college and dropped out. He spent the next 8 years making pizza because the job market was trash. Enjoy your life when you're in school, it's going downhill from there. Don't ever say that to a depressed teenager. As an adult, my life is so much better. I never understood how people could think school was enjoyable. I hated high school then and my feelings haven't changed 20+ years later. Making money and having choices is so much better. Replace all your office computers with Macs, then you don't need to set up network drives because you can use iCloud instead. Don't worry about industry-specific software we pay money for, there'll be something in the App Store you can replace it with. A mobile home is a great first home for a young couple. I wish I had looked into it more. When my company imploded, I was stuck with a $1,000 mortgage payment and $1,100 monthly space rent. In the Los Angeles area. I got a job out of state, could not sell the mobile home, park residents were giving up their old paid-off homes just to get out of their leases, and the park was selling the houses for $500. That is an exact figure, so no one wanted a brand new house in the same park. I had to just give up the house to the bank. Bank eventually sold it for less than half of the loan balance. My credit recovered 7 to 10 years later. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like, share and subscribe.